A person who can select a beverage from among 50 varieties of cola is less free than one who has only these 5 choices: wine, coffee, apple juice, milk, and water. It is clear then that meaningful freedom cannot be measured simply by the number of alternatives available. The extent of the differences among the alternatives is also a relevant factor.
All right, so what's going on here?
So it's basically, so like the last sentence is the conclusion.
Okay.
Um, so it's saying that somebody who has 50 different colas to choose from
Wait, when you say the
has,
last sentence, what part of the last sentence is our main conclusion?
okay, so it's kind of different parts. So like meaningful freedom cannot be measured simply
Right.
by blah blah blah, and then also the extent of these differences is also a relevant factor.
Yeah, it's like two different. Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent.
So basically it's saying it doesn't matter how many differences, it's like how different each of the choices are from each
Yeah, I
other.
like that. Excellent. So, person who can select a beverage from among 50 varieties is less free than one who has. Okay. Sorry, I feel like this stimulus is like all over the place.
It
Like,
is.
I'm like, wait, what? Like they're less free. Like, okay, it is clear
Okay.
that a meaningful freedom cannot be measured simply by the number of alternatives available. Okay, let's go ahead and start with A.
Okay. So supporting a general principle by means of an example. Mm, mm. That one's questionable. I don't know if it's a principle
Okay, well,
necessarily.
supporting a general principle by so like meaningful like principle here it would be the principle would be the conclusion that meaningful freedom
Yeah.
can measure the extent by means of an example. I guess I don't hate it. I don't like general principle either because like the extent of I feel like this is more specific than a general principle.
Yeah.
I would probably I
It's
agree.
not really using that to prove anything. It's just kind of offering it in, like the example it gives about the colas, it's not like using it to necessarily prove,
Yeah.
like,
I would probably leave this one, but I agree with you.
okay, so drawing a conclusion about a particular case on the basis of a general principle.
It's
Um,
easier to say yes or no to than A.
Drawing a conclusion about a particular case. It's not a particular case.
Okay, so we draw a conclusion, right? But
Yeah.
our conclusion isn't about a specific case.
Yeah.
And we don't and our evidence for our conclusion is not a principle. Right? Like this is like a situation or a
Right.
scenario.
Okay.
So
Drawing a
B is
conclusion
easier to
about
cross
it.
off. Excellent.
Okay. Supporting its conclusion by means of an analogy.
So do we get to our conclusion by using an analogy? What is an analogy?
Um, you're like saying that something else is like something else because of such and such.
Yeah, you're comparing two things, right?
Yeah.
For the purpose of clarification. Are we using an analogy here?
No.
No, yeah, what are we we're not comparing anything.
Just, yeah. We're not saying something is like something else. So okay.
Yeah, so this is
Yeah.
not an analogy. Cool.
Okay. Claiming that whatever holds for each member of a group must hold for the whole group. No.
No, that's a bad answer.
Inferring one general principle from another more general principle. Um,
Which first, what does inferring mean?
to infer, it's like your, it's kind of like an educated
Okay,
assumption. Kind
that
of.
I was taught growing up that an inference is an educated or no, yeah, inference was an educated guess. But on the LSAT, whenever you see infer, just replace it with conclude.
Okay.
So concluding one general principle from another more general principle. So I don't hate this, like we're concluding a general principle. I don't hate it so far.
So I mean, I guess kind of, because it's saying meaningful freedom cannot be measured simply by, and then it's like taking it a little bit further when it says the extent of the differences is also
You
relevant.
said that was the conclusion, not support.
Oh. Wait, but that is, oh.
So what our support is that first part, right?
Yeah. Wait, so that couldn't apply to the conclusion though? Inferring one
Concluding, you can't conclude one principle from a
from a
conclusion,
conclusion.
right? So inferring one general principle from another more general principle.
Okay, I guess I don't know. I don't like E is weird.
I don't think we're concluding a general principle from a more general principle. Like,
I guess
what would be the more general principle?
I guess. Okay.
So let's say we got here and we're like, I don't like that. And like, we didn't hate.
A.
Oh, this is the other one I was going to say too. If we're debating between E is saying concluding one general principle. A says supporting a general principle. So these both start out the same, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And so now we're just comparing, do we like by means of an example, or do we like by using a general principle? That's the difference between these two answers. Which one do we like better?
Means of an example.
Same. Because if we don't like A for supporting a general principle, we can't like E for the same reason.
Yeah.
So there we go. So that's how we can get to A on this one as well.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.